How you doing, everybody? My name is Dr. Sammy BAYA. Please welcome back to my YouTube channel. Is salt a spiritual weapon? The hidden truth of salt in the Bible. That's the title of this video. I'm going to give you a detailed exploration of the topic of salt as a spiritual weapon and its significance in the Bible. Salt has been a fundamental part of human life for many years, not only as a seasoning and preservative, but also as a potent symbol in various spiritual and religious contexts. In the Bible, salt carries deep spiritual meanings, often linked to its purity and preservation properties. In ancient times, salt was highly valued for its ability to preserve food and prevent decay. This practical aspect of salt gave it a symbolic role in spiritual practices, representing purity, preservation, and enduring value. These symbolic meanings often find their way into religious texts and rituals. Salt appears frequently in the Bible, starting from the Old Testament. It is mentioned in contexts ranging from covenants to offerings, illustrating its spiritual significance. For instance, in Leviticus chapter 2 verse 13, God commands that all grain offerings be seasoned with salt, highlighting its role in maintaining the covenant between God and his people. The covenant of salt, let's discuss it. In Numbers chapter 18 verse 19 and 2 Chronicles chapter 13 verse 5, the term covenant of salt is used to describe an everlasting covenant between God and his people. Salt's preservation qualities symbolize the enduring nature of this divine agreement, emphasizing faithfulness and permanence. Salt's association with purity is evident in its use in purification rituals. For example, in 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 19 to 22, Elisha uses salt to purify the waters of Jericho. This act demonstrates salt's role as a purifying agent capable of transforming and renewing. Salt is also a symbol of wisdom. In the New Testament, Jesus uses salt metaphorically to describe the qualities of his fellow followers. In Matthew chapter 5 verse 13, he tells his disciples, "You are the salt of the earth." This metaphor suggests that, like salt, believers are meant to enhance the world with their presence and influence, imparting wisdom and grace. The role of salt in preservation. Salt's function as a preservative extends beyond the physical to the spiritual realm. In biblical times, it was crucial for preserving food and preventing spoilage, mirroring the role of spiritual teachings in preserving moral and ethical standards within a community. Salt and sacrificial offerings. In the context of sacrificial offerings, salt was an integral part of the process. Leviticus chapter 2 verse 13 specifies that offerings of grain should include salt, symbolizing the covenant between God and Israel. This practice underscores salt's role in facilitating divine communication and relationship. Salt and healing powers. Biblical narratives sometimes attribute healing properties to salt. The story of Elisha and the healing of the waters in Jericho demonstrates a belief in salt's transformative power. This symbolism extends to spiritual healing, suggesting that salt can have a purifying effect on both physical and spiritual ailments. Jesus' warning about losing one's saltiness, found in Luke chapter 14 verses 34 to 35, serves as a cautionary message to remain true to one's spiritual mission. If salt loses its flavor, it becomes worthless, paralleling how believers must maintain their spiritual essence to be effective and valuable. Salt in the Old Testament, a symbol of loyalty. In the Old Testament, salt symbolizes loyalty and faithfulness. The use of salt in various rituals and covenants reflects the importance of unwavering commitment in the relationship between God and his followers. Let's look at the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. The story of Lot's wife turning into a pillar of salt after looking back at the burning cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, that is Genesis chapter 19 verse 26, can be interpreted as a symbolic representation of the consequences of disobedience and the irreversible nature of divine judgment. Salt in prophetic traditions. Prophets in the Bible sometimes used salt symbolically to convey messages from God. The act of using salt in this context reinforces its role as a potent symbol of divine action and intervention in human affairs. Salt as a metaphor for influence. In the metaphorical sense, salt represents the influence that believers should have on the world around them. Just as salt enhances flavor, believers are called to enhance and improve the moral and spiritual quality of society. Salt's ability to preserve and prevent decay is mirrored in the spiritual role of believers who are seen as agents of preservation in a world prone to moral and spiritual decay. This aspect of salt highlights the responsibility of believers to uphold and maintain divine principles. The role of salt in rituals. In addition to its symbolic use in covenants and offerings, salt plays a role in various religious rituals. These rituals often involve the use of salt to sanctify or purify, reinforcing its role as a spiritual agent. In the New Testament, the concept of salt transitions into the New Covenant, where believers are expected to embody the principles of Jesus' teachings. The metaphor of salt reflects the transformative impact that believers are meant to have in the world. Historically, salt has been used in exorcism rituals based on its perceived ability to ward off evil. This practice underscores the belief in salt's protective and purifying properties, extending its spiritual significance beyond biblical texts. Let's look at salt and spiritual warfare. The use of salt in spiritual warfare is rooted in its symbolism as a purifying and preserving force. In this context, salt is viewed as a tool for combating spiritual decay and maintaining the integrity of faith. Salt in Christian symbolism often incorporates Christian symbolism often will incorporate this salt to represent the teachings of Jesus and the role of his followers. The metaphor of salt highlights the essential role of believers in preserving and enhancing the spiritual quality of life. Let's look at salt and divine protection. In various traditions, salt is believed to offer divine protection against negative influences and malevolent forces. This belief is linked to its biblical symbolism as a protective and purifying substance. Salt's ability to transform and renew is mirrored in the spiritual journey of believers who are called to undergo transformation through their faith and to effect change in the world around them. The role of salt in maintaining community life is significant. Just as salt preserves food, believers are called to preserve the integrity and unity of their communities through their faith and actions. Salt's use in ritual cleansing emphasizes its role in purification and renewal. This practice reflects the broader spiritual concept of cleansing and preparing oneself for divine interaction. The enduring nature of salt symbolizes the lasting quality of faith and divine promises. Just as salt retains its properties over time, faith is meant to endure and remain steadfast through challenges. The metaphor of salt also suggests the need for spiritual vigilance. Just as salt must maintain its flavor to be effective, believers must remain vigilant and committed to their spiritual path. Salt's role in preserving food parallels the role of believers in upholding moral and ethical standards. The purity of salt symbolizes the purity and integrity expected in the lives of those who follow spiritual teachings. In some traditions, salt is used in blessings and consecrations, reinforcing its role as a symbol of divine favor and protection. This use of salt highlights its association with spiritual blessings and sanctification. Salt's mystical qualities in various spiritual traditions reflect its perceived power to influence and transform. Its use in rituals and symbolism underscores its importance as a spiritual tool. In conclusion, the spiritual significance of salt is that salt's multifaceted symbolism in the Bible and other spiritual traditions underscores its role as a powerful spiritual weapon. Its qualities of preservation, purification, and influence make it a profound symbol of faith, commitment, and divine intervention. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you've learned a thing or two. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you've not done so.